think
Kyle.
that's recording now.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Zeff Ryder
All
out in
right,
Portugal
so
in a tent.
I'm in Portugal
Surreal.
in the tent. It's it's not too bad at the moment because it's late afternoon, so I'm not like normally I'd be dying out in the tent this time. Like not this time of day, but like if it was earlier in the day, if I didn't have a fan on. But now it's all right, and it's a bit windy, but sure, it was warm today. And it's going to be warm tomorrow, and it's going to be warm the day after that.
Yeah, we're not seeing any of that in Wexford.
I'm turning a different color, like I'm tanning.
I see you have your typewriter. Is that the typewriter?
Yeah, that's the typewriter. Yeah, I've got a little setup in the tent with like a desk thing and a typewriter. You know that shop Hamilton's in Wexford Town
Yeah,
on the corner by Macken's. He sells all kinds of weird stuff, like weird and wonderful stuff. I bought this light box. It came from a Chinese chipper, and it's got those like cheesy sort of like waterfalls and lights you put on and these crane
yeah,
birds. And my dad put legs on it, and we turned it into a table. So it's deadly,
brilliant.
and it's cool for writing because it gives a cool vibe and like glows this funny glow, and yeah, it's cool.
And what are you writing?
What am I writing?
Yeah, what are you
Uh,
working on?
I've got about sort of like maybe 30 typewriter pages, so that's probably 60 pages of a novel, but it's not really a novel. It's just me drinking beer and rambling like a madman.
Sounds good. Sounds
I
good.
call it my I call it my catharsis, It's just
Mm.
getting out whatever shit is inside me, exercising my demons on paper, as it were.
Nice,
Sure,
nice.
isn't that what writing is for the most part?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Definitely, definitely. So we had a big piece of news 2 weeks ago that
Yes.
we're going to expand Red Books. Sharon, who you know very well in the Little Geek Shack,
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
leaving
Okay.
mainly due to family reasons, and her kids are
Yeah.
getting a little bit older, and so she's going online. The building became
Yeah.
empty. It wasn't our plan, but we decided we're going to double the size of the bookshop in the next few weeks. So we're going from being the smallest bookshop in Ireland to being one of the biggest of what we do anyway.
The independent ones, yeah. I think like did Kieran O'Brien say you're the biggest independent outside of Dublin.
Yeah, yeah, quite possibly.
One of the biggest,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. So
Look, sure.
while we were doing that news though, you were texting me with some other massive, massive news.
Yeah, well, I was kind of in a bit of a sticky situation here, so I thought I'd make it work for me, and I went and spoke to a couple of people here, and we're basically going to expand Red Books into Portugal.
Oh yeah.
So that's happening. I don't know exactly when, but it's happening this summer. Definitely, we want to get up and running for the summer season. So I'm in this. I live outside of a city called Fundao, which is a similar size to Wexford Town, sort of population wise. We're talking about sort of 26,000 people. So it's within the ranges of Wexford Town. So it's a good twinning. It's a good pairing. It's not
Mm.
a massive city, but it's not small. It's not in the ass end of nowhere. And apparently, according to this person that I met who's helping me with the shop, I met up with an entrepreneur from Brazil, and he's helping me to negotiate with the council to bring this shop up on its legs. And he said in the next 5 years, the size of the city would be double. So we're
Oh,
talking about a reasonable size city then. And the thing is, it's not only Portuguese people. It's actually the people that are coming here are mainly people from all over the world. So the branding that we're doing is we're we're expanding Red Books into Portugal. We've got the same ethos as yourself, Wally, obviously,
Mm.
but we're gonna call it Livros Tintos, which is the Portuguese for. It's not really red books. It's more like tinted books because, like, red books would be Livros Vermelhos, and that doesn't have the same ring. And
Yeah,
tintos is like tinted is the color red wine is vinho tinto. So that's why we use the red wine, but like it's more like tainted wine or tainted books.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so
So,
the catchphrases then of that is international bookshop and subculture, because as everybody knows, Red Books is a place where subcultures connect. It's much more than just a bookshop. You can buy books, which is brilliant. You have to buy books to support the shop, but more than that, it's like a place to meet and to share ideas. And any day, as you know, in Red Books, you walk in and there'll be a writer, and there'll be an artist, and there'll be a photographer, and there'll be mad woman and mad men ranting about portals to the underworld, and it's brilliant.
yeah, yeah,
And
that's great.
so it's the
Um,
same thing. We're going for the subculture thing because we're meeting actually. It was a stroke of luck because I ran into an Irish woman. So the luck of Ireland followed me, and she's Emma. She's the catalyst of all this. She's kind of the one bringing it all together. She works at the migration center here, so she knows all the different nationalities that come together in the city. And she's like I said, she's Irish. She's from County Tyrone, and yeah, she said, this kind of subculture is really, there's a lot of cultural activities in the city, but not enough subculture. So that's what really excited her. It's a place for all these different nationalities to get together and to share ideas and have open mic nights and coffee and
brilliant,
wine and sell books and sell drama and
brilliant.
you know
It's great. Livros Tintos. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get the hang of pronouncing that, but
that's not bad. Yeah.
but the great thing you mentioned there, and I know we've been talking about already, the idea of the twinning, that this will
Yeah.
be a twinning of two bookshops across across the sea and Ireland to
Yeah.
Portugal, and that twinning will have a physical form as well. We're talking about bringing poets and writers from Wexford over to Portugal, and bringing poets and writers from Portugal over to Wexford on a kind of biannual basis.
Yeah,
And
like a cultural exchange,
yeah,
brilliant.
yeah, it's fantastic. I'm delighted because I think we always spoke about this, that a lot of those bookshops that we aspire to be, they disappear with the owner. Now, City Lights survived because Ferlinghetti saw that happening, and he set up a kind of council to keep the shop running after he was gone. And it was just lucky in Shakespeare and Company that Sylvia returned to the shop and took it over after George died.
George died, yeah.
But there's so many other shops, so many Irish bookshops as well, that just disappeared because you know now because you are a bookseller and you were integral to the setting up of Red Books and the setting up of Red Books Press and all of our open mic nights, the setting up of the Wexford Bohemian and Undercover. And you have to be really eccentric to do this.
You have to. What's that saying? Like the dude from Psycho said, we all go a little bit mad sometimes, but then someone else said, I can't remember who said, some people never go crazy. What awful lives they must lead, or something like that.
Yeah.
So you have to be crazy, but so what? you're gonna die somehow. And yeah, like the thing about books is it's really, in Portugal, I read an article the other day that said that book sales are actually 8% higher than they were pre-pandemic.
Mm.
So, and that's physical books. That's not Kindle or anything like that. That's physical
Oh yeah.
books. So people are into it, like it's not as dying as people think. I mean, Amazon or whatever, they make it hard. But
Mm.
sure, you can't go on Amazon and talk to someone about their art or about their photography or about their music or about their writing or anything else. You're
Yeah.
just sitting there clicking a button. Okay, it's convenient. It comes reasonably quickly. It's reasonably not that cheap, actually. You've got the secondhand bits on there, but you know, it's not an experience. It's just a transaction.
It's not an experience. And yeah, you're right. You're right. And bookshops are like ours are becoming an experience now. And people are coming back to them because there's just the blandness that comes with Amazon. As for the Kindle, I I honestly don't know anybody under 35 who uses a Kindle at this stage. We
Yeah,
have a lot of young customers, and they're saying they might use it for novelty purposes or when they're on holidays or something, or they might own one, but they don't use them. And a lot of them,
yeah.
they're just it's like this piece of technology that has completely gone out of fashion, and very very quickly. I can't even think of one offhand now. Remember the was it the Betamax came out before the
Oh,
video set?
before the VHS. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And Kindle could be relegated to the history, the dump bin of history, as just a failed project.
See, what I originally liked about the Kindle was that, like, I have one, and like to prove your point, I probably haven't charged it in 5 months.
Yeah.
I got one for my birthday, like, I think 2009 or 10 or around about there. What I liked about it was the paperwhite version, so you didn't have the backlight that hurts your eyes, so you could
Yeah.
read a lot of books on it. Now I found it comfortable. It's not the same, you can fit like, thousands of books on there, but it's not the same as having, well, I've got in this tent, I've got like a whole bookshelf there of Wally's wonderful doing, because I couldn't walk out of Red Books empty-handed ever. So it's full of stuff, and it's not the same as. And this is the thing. Like, at Kindle, I can just pack in my suitcase. But I moved to Portugal, and my books weren't going to stay behind, so I paid. I don't know how much to get the books here, because the removal van came to Wexford, and the books were heavy, and the dude was bitching and saying the books are too heavy because I have crates and crates of books, and I'm like, well, I'm not leaving them, so you may just bring them. And I had to pay like 2,000 extra or something just to get the fucking books here. Sorry, I'm
Yeah.
not allowed to swear. Just to get the books here, but like,
Yeah.
so what? They're more important than money. They're
Yeah.
books,
Yeah.
you know. Um,
Yeah.
but the Kindle, I mean, yeah, look, it's got its place. Like for instance, if I write a novel, when I wrote my first novel, All of the Hipsters, I just digitized it all, edited it, and then just it's easy to read on the Kindle because on the computer your eyes hurt. So that's
Mm.
what I found
Mm.
it useful for, like reading it on there to check for errors and that. And that's the last time I charged the thing. I haven't charged it since. It's here somewhere. I don't even know where.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
And then, so we're seeing a new Red Books in Portugal, but we're also going to see Red Books Press in Portugal then. And this is the other exciting thing, that Livros
yeah,
Tintos, which I'm butchering the pronunciation there.
no, it's not
Um,
bad. Livros Tintos.
will have its own base, its own publications, and it will mean international distribution now for the Red Books Press writers.
Yeah,
And
that's great.
yeah, I mean, it's incredible. It's an incredible, and it's another way around that kind of mainstream system that's
That's the thing.
fails so many writers.
We're baiting the system, we're baiting the system. I mean, some of the lads can come over when they're one launches and stuff. If they have the means, they can come and have a second launch here. We'll be welcome to accommodate them. We've got a reasonably a reasonable sized land. I mean, there's tents, they can stay here and have a lunch, have the crack, and then fly back with a hangover. Uh, or they can have lots of tea, whatever they don't like to drink. But Yeah, it's great to be able to make that connection. And the thing about this part of Portugal is there's a beautiful story here of migration. So we're a licorice all sorts family because obviously Susie's going to start the bookshop with me. It's not just me. Susie's going to be in
Yeah.
it as well, but she's looking after the child at the moment, so I can talk. And the child is Irish. Raven is Irish. Susie's from Liverpool. I'm from South Africa, so it's a big melting pot of a family.
Yeah.
I say to the people here when I meet them though, like I came from Wexford Town, so I identify as Irish.
Yeah.
But uh, every day in this town, like I said, it's called a city. It's a town city. Like I said, about 26,000 people. But like I meet people of all shapes and sizes here from everywhere. Like you'd hear a lot of English. There's a lot of people, lots of British people coming here, obviously to get away from the Brexit to come back into Europe.
Yeah.
There's a lot of British people here buying land, kind of doing the same thing we're doing, buying land, living off the land, sort of like planting some vegetables and stuff. Some people have goat farms.
Hmm.
There's a lot of people from Germany here, a lot of people from the Netherlands, a lot of Israelis. I went to a picnic on the Irish woman that I mentioned before, Emma. She had a multicultural picnic on Saturday here, and there were loads of Israelis
Hmm.
and lots of people from India as well. You run into all these different people, and it's a great story of migration that's happening here, and a lot of people that I speak to, uh, they need that cultural and artistic connection, and the bookshop is the best place for that because they feel like they're missing that sometimes, because you know a lot of the stuff in the town that happens now obviously it's Portugal, so the Portuguese language is first and foremost the language, but a lot of people that come here are still learning Portuguese. Like I'm learning it as well. It's a journey. It's not just snap your fingers. So a lot of people miss that kind of connection because they can go to a cultural event and they can watch like the Three Musketeers live shows. There's a lot of stuff happening, like theater shows. There's a Three Musketeers one on now. There's lots of bands playing, but it's all in Portuguese language. So if you're still new here, it's a bit hard to kind of understand it, and
And
they miss that connection. And obviously, the English language is the main thing we use to connect to everybody because most people can speak some level of English.
your bookshop will be multicultural and multiliteral, but how hard is it at the moment to pick up English language books where you are?
It's impossible. I
Right.
mean, the city doesn't have it has a bookseller who kind of he has a kind of a basement, and he's got sort of maybe 1,000 Portuguese books that I think is probably his own personal collection is kind of selling off. He doesn't really like have a name for the shop. There's no opening hours or nothing. He's just sort of opens every now and again and sells a couple of books. And I mean, I went in there and got a Henry Miller book in Portuguese, and I had a nice chat with him. Like he digs books and literature, but he's not into book selling and the whole spiel of having like a bookshop with a meeting point or anything like that. It's literally just sort of like a basement. It's smaller than your first shop, in Bridgetown. It's smaller than that.
Right.
So, and that's it. That's the only bookshop in town. Other than that, you go to the supermarkets and you get like the, 20 quid Stephen King in Portuguese, and like all the usual stuff you get in Tesco or whatever. It's the same thing here, and
Yeah.
that's it. And as far as I know, in this whole sort of central Portugal region, there's no English books. Like some of these markets, they have like markets here, quite a lot of markets where they sell fresh produce and stuff. And that's where a lot of English people meet up. And they have sort of book swaps,
Okay.
but that's it. Other than that, the closest bookshop that sells English would be like the likes of Porto or Lisboa, Lisbon. And
Yeah.
then just outside of, in between Porto and Lisbon, there's a town called Óbidos, which is like promotes itself as a literary town, but it's more of a tourist trap. It's a
Okay. Okay.
beautiful place. Don't get me wrong. They do have they do have one bookshop that sells a bit of English books, not a great selection. But other than that, it's this kind of cool medieval vibe, and it's more about going there and eating at the restaurants and
Hmm.
like that kind of thing, rather than books, you know.
Okay. So you're going to provide a vital resource.
Yeah, see, this is what the people that I met up with that connect with the council said. It is they think it's a very vital resource because he is bringing all these people from all over the world to come and live here, and they need somewhere to connect.
Yeah. Yeah. And what about, you've already told me in messages um, about the art scene there. So you're running into
Yeah.
a lot of artists. Are you meeting a lot of writers?
Yes, and a lot of people as well, migrants. I'm meeting a lot of Portuguese writers. I'm meeting a lot of migrants as well because they want to tell their story, or we want to tell our
Yeah.
story. You know, um, it's a story of migration. I suppose it's the human story, and people want to put that on paper or say a poem, or and like I said, if the publishing thing is to have that published, then eventually
Hmm.
a journal of like sort of like the thoughts and feelings of leaving your home country, coming to live in another place. It's not
Yeah.
easy for everybody.
No, no. And you've sent me a picture of a building, a potential base of operations for Livros Tintos.
Yeah, it's this lovely building. I don't know if it's Art Deco or sort of it's from that era. It's not quite Art Deco, but it's this lovely building, and it's
We,
it's a big possibility. It's not set in stone, that specific building, but that's the main contender for the location.
it is an absolutely fantastic building.
It's
It's got,
gorgeous,
yeah,
uh, and it's
and
on
it's a
this
big,
corner. Yeah, it's
it's
big.
big.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's massive. I have to fill it up while you have to help. But it's on this corner, and it's on this corner of a street called Rua Cal, which is like a very historical street. Uh, that the city are trying to kind of regenerate it a bit because it used to be like a real cool sort of like vibe in the street where people met up and there was festivals and stuff like that. But like it kind of went when there was recessions and stuff, 2008, and a lot of people really like that hit Portugal quite hard as it did Ireland. Um, and a lot of the shops and stuff, became empty and the buildings are kind of dilapidated. So now they're trying to get that whole vibe up and going again because that street has a lot of historical buildings, which they're trying to get people into to to do stuff and to kind of regenerate it.
No, it's exciting stuff. It's exciting stuff. Um, so do you have any idea on timelines? Or what
Summer,
would you like? Summer.
yeah, I want to be set up by the summer because I mean, even
That's
if it's sort of later summer, then it's still in Portugal. It's still pretty hot in October. So like,
that's
so
incredible. Yeah.
if we can
So
get
we're
set
gonna.
up by say
I,
August and maybe July, then
I could see
we'll
a
be
trip
fine.
to Portugal coming with a couple of thousand books, including the best that
Definitely,
Wexford has to offer. We'll
that's
get the
it.
Wexford writers out there to stock your shop.
That's it. The connection to Wexford is strong. When I did my business plan, and I met with this entrepreneur and showed him the business plan, and I had a list of sort of bookshops that that have the same vibe, and I said City Lights in San Francisco, I said Shakespeare and Company in Paris, and I said Red Books in Wexford. So that's the kind of ethos we're going for.
Brilliant.
You know,
No, that's great. That's great. So it's watch this space then.
it's
Obviously.
watch the space. Yeah, like it's probably a bit of a premature announcement, but like
Oh
lots of
no,
things I do
we need good
premature.
news. Yeah, yeah. I've heard Susie say.
You've heard.
Um, but it's it's been a dark time, and there's a lot of inflation at the moment, a lot of worry. So good news, any good news now is needed. It's needed
Look,
to
it's
be.
definitely going to happen.
We need to
It's just a
promote it.
matter of it's definitely going to happen. It's just a matter of when and where. Like I said,
Yeah.
the where is pretty much there. This, you see, this entrepreneur, I caught him at just a bit of a bad time. I caught him just to show you how excited he was. Emma put me in connection with him about sort of a week and a half ago, and he was about to leave for Brazil because he's Brazilian, and he was going back last Monday just for a bit of a holiday for a couple of weeks. And when she told him, he was so excited about it. He didn't want to wait until he came back. He said, "No, let's meet this Friday before I fly." So we met up sort of a Friday week ago. He was really excited now. At the moment, there's not a lot he can do because he's on holiday. So he's coming back sort of next week. And then he did put me in connection with someone who works in the council, but then she got the COVID, so she was off for 10 days or whatever. She couldn't cook. She was in isolation. So she's only back now. So that's dragging the thing a bit. But and obviously she has a bit of a backlog to catch up. But when she's back and he's back, and so that will be all cylinders firing and all cylinders then,
Deadly. All right. Well, I think we'll keep these videos coming. Maybe conversations between booksellers or something. And to keep a diary of you setting up a bookshop in another country, us expanding, just the Red Book story. So
it's
great.
Brilliant. I mean, one day, you and me can write down the story of the story and sell a book about books. It's great.
I like it. Okay.
Cool, man. Well, it was good to see you again and on camera. It's kind of like the lockdown days again.
It is.
Remember them?
It's got that vibe. It's got that vibe.
The Zoom thing, but sure, look, it's a bit better.
Okay.
Cool.
Run fast for your mother, run fast for your